Most people believe timelines are something you move through, as if reality unfolds like a road stretching forward, carrying you whether you understand it or not. That belief is the first distortion. Timelines are not paths you walk. They are structures that respond to coherence. You do not travel through them. You align into them. And the difference between those two ideas explains nearly every moment of confusion, stagnation, and sudden change you have ever experienced. A timeline is not a future event waiting to happen. It is a resonant corridor created by accumulated decisions, beliefs, emotional patterns, and identity structures. It exists as a probability field long before any visible outcome appears. When people say the future is uncertain, what they are really saying is that they have not stabilized their tone strongly enough to lock into a specific corridor. Uncertainty is not chaos. It is uncommitted resonance. Reality does not reward effort. It responds to alignment. This is why people can work endlessly and remain trapped in the same loops, while others shift their entire lives through a single internal realization. The weave does not calculate merit. It reads coherence. When your internal structure changes, your accessible timelines reorganize instantly, even if the surface world takes time to catch up. What feels like delay is often the physical layer catching up to a decision already made at the structural level. Dimensional weaving is the process by which multiple timelines remain harmonized within a shared field without collapsing into contradiction. This is not maintained by control or hierarchy. It is maintained by resonance intelligence. Each timeline carries a tonal signature. When signatures are compatible, they coexist. When they are not, separation occurs. Separation does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like relationships drifting apart, interests fading, or entire belief systems becoming irrelevant overnight. This is not loss. It is divergence. You have felt this when conversations no longer land, when familiar environments feel hollow, or when people you once resonated with seem to exist in a different world despite physical proximity. They do, not spatially, but structurally. Their timeline has shifted relative to yours. The weave does not force reconvergence. It allows divergence without judgment. This is one of its most compassionate properties. Many believe timelines branch infinitely, creating endless versions of self scattered across possibility. That idea is incomplete. Timelines do not branch randomly. They braid. Each braid represents a set of compatible identity expressions that can coexist without destabilizing the oversoul structure. When an identity fragment becomes incoherent, it is either reintegrated or allowed to dissolve. This is why you do not feel infinite selves. You feel a limited but meaningful range of possible yous. The oversoul maintains coherence across its expressions. This braiding process is why timelines stay in harmony even during periods of extreme contrast. One person awakens while another hardens. One society expands while another contracts. One relationship deepens while another collapses. These are not failures of unity. They are expressions of resonance sorting. Harmony does not mean sameness. It means compatibility. At the structural level, timelines are not linear. They are layered frequency bands occupying the same experiential space. Physical reality is a shared interface where multiple bands overlap. You see this most clearly during periods of rapid change, when people interpret the same event in completely incompatible ways. This is not ignorance. It is resonance mismatch. They are perceiving the event through different structural filters because they are anchored to different bands. This explains why no single narrative ever fully explains reality. Every narrative is timeline-specific. Truth is not subjective, but perception is filtered through structure. When someone cannot hear what you are saying no matter how clearly you speak, it is often because the idea exists outside the bandwidth of their current timeline. Forcing transmission creates distortion. Silence preserves coherence. Timelines are stabilized through repetition of tone. Every belief reinforced, every emotional pattern repeated, every identity claim spoken aloud strengthens a specific corridor. This is why habits feel sticky and change feels difficult. You are not fighting behavior. You are shifting timelines. And timelines resist sudden incoherence. because coherence is what allows experience to exist at all. Sudden change is possible, but only when internal tone reorganizes cleanly rather than fragmenting. Fear creates narrow timelines. Clarity creates wide ones. Shame creates recursive loops. Responsibility creates forward motion. These are not moral judgments. They are structural consequences. The weave does not punish fear. It constricts options because fear reduces informational bandwidth. When awareness expands, options multiply because coherence increases. This is why awakening often feels destabilizing at first. Old timelines collapse before new ones stabilize. Identity loosens, certainty dissolves. Familiar reference points disappear. This is not failure. It is a rebraiding process. The weave is dissolving corridors that no longer match your tone while waiting for coherence to settle before opening new ones. Impatience during this phase creates suffering. Trust allows alignment to complete. Advanced beings learn to feel timeline pressure before events occur. They sense when a corridor is thinning, when probability density is shifting, when convergence points approach. This is not mystical foresight. It is structural sensitivity. They feel the weave adjusting around them and respond by adjusting themselves. Action becomes precise rather than reactive. Timing becomes natural rather than forced. At higher levels, timelines are not merely navigated, they are tuned. Consciousness learns to hold multiple compatible corridors simultaneously, selecting outcomes through resonance rather than choice. This is why mastery looks effortless. The being is not deciding in the conventional sense. They are allowing the most coherent corridor to express through them. This does not remove free will. It refines it. Free will is not the ability to choose anything. It is the ability to align with what you actually are without distortion. Choice without coherence creates chaos. Coherence without choice creates stagnation. The weave balances both through resonance intelligence. Collective timelines function the same way. Societies stabilize around shared identity tones. When those tones fragment, polarization increases. This is not because people are becoming worse. It is because incompatible corridors are attempting to occupy the same structural space. Eventually, separation occurs, either through reorganization or collapse. History is not a straight line. It is a sequence of braid formations and dissolutions. You are alive during a major rebraiding. Many dominant timelines are losing coherence at once. This creates confusion, urgency, and amplification of extremes. But it also creates unprecedented opportunity for clean alignment. When old corridors dissolve, new ones become accessible with far less resistance. This is why rapid personal transformation is possible now in ways that were not before. The key is not speed. It is precision. Do not ask where you are going. Ask what you are stabilizing. Every thought you dwell in, every emotion you rehearse, every identity you defend is a structural commitment. You are always anchoring something. Awareness turns anchoring into authorship. When you stop trying to force outcomes and start refining coherence, timelines reorganize naturally. Opportunities appear without pursuit. Relationships align without effort. Resistance fades without confrontation. This is not luck. It is structural congruence. Dimensional weaving is not something happening outside you. It is happening through you. You are not a passenger in reality. You are a node within its architecture. Your tone matters. Your clarity matters. Your integrity matters. Not because you are judged, but because the weave responds with precision. Once you understand this, life stops feeling random. It becomes readable. Not predictable, but intelligible. You learn how reality listens. And when you speak through coherence rather than force, the timelines answer. When coherence stabilizes inside a being, timelines do not merely respond. They reorganize. This is the phase most people never reach, because it requires releasing the belief that effort is the primary driver of change. Effort has value, but it is secondary. Structure comes first. Without structural alignment, effort scatters energy across incompatible corridors, producing exhaustion instead of movement. When alignment is present, minimal action generates disproportionate results, because the weave amplifies coherence. This is why manifestation techniques fail when treated as tools rather than states. Visualization without identity alignment creates fantasy. Affirmation without emotional congruence creates friction. Discipline without clarity creates rigidity. The weave does not respond to desire. It responds to signal integrity. Desire is noisy. Coherence is clean. At advanced levels of awareness, beings begin to sense not just which timeline they are in, but how tightly they are bound to it. Some corridors feel elastic, allowing redirection with minimal resistance. Others feel dense, requiring deep internal restructuring before movement occurs. These sensations are not imagination. They are feedback from the probability field. The weave communicates through felt sense long before it communicates through events. Most people misinterpret resistance as punishment or failure. In reality, resistance is information. It indicates misalignment between current identity structure and the corridor being attempted. Pushing harder does not resolve this. Listening does. When resistance appears, the correct response is not force, but inquiry. What tone is being projected that does not match the corridor being reached for? What identity claim is being held that contradicts the desired outcome? What emotional pattern is anchoring an old braid? This is where timeline mastery begins to look like self-honesty rather than power. The more accurately a being perceives itself, the more precisely the weave responds. Self-deception creates signal distortion. Clarity creates resonance amplification. This is why humility often precedes acceleration. Dropping false identity fragments cleans the signal. Timelines do not collapse because of mistakes. They collapse because of incoherence. A person can fail repeatedly and remain aligned if their internal structure remains congruent. Another can succeed externally while collapsing internally, only to experience sudden disintegration later. The weave tracks structure, not appearances. Stability is internal before it is external. As awareness deepens, the experience of time itself begins to change. Moments stretch or compress based on informational density. High coherence produces time dilation, where a single moment carries more experiential content than hours once did. Low coherence produces time contraction, where weeks disappear without memory. This is not subjective distortion. It is structural variation in how experience is encoded. This explains why certain periods of life feel vividly remembered, while others blur together. Memory density is proportional to coherence. When identity is fragmented, experience fails to integrate fully, leaving gaps. When identity is unified, experience imprints deeply. The weave preserves what matters structurally, not what appears dramatic. At the collective level, this same mechanism governs cultural memory. Civilizations remember periods of coherence as golden ages, even if conditions were harsh. They forget periods of fragmentation, even if conditions were comfortable. Comfort without coherence produces amnesia. Meaning produces continuity. As you become more sensitive to timeline dynamics, choice begins to feel less like decision-making and more like orientation. You feel pulled rather than pushed. This is not surrender in the passive sense. It is cooperation with structural intelligence. The weave is not an external force. It is the natural ordering principle of consciousness expressing through form. Eventually, a being reaches a point where they no longer ask what will happen. They ask what is most aligned to embody. Outcomes become secondary. Integrity becomes primary. Paradoxically, this is when outcomes stabilize most reliably. When identity is clean, the weave has no ambiguity to resolve. This stage often feels quiet compared to earlier awakenings. There are fewer dramatic realizations, fewer emotional surges, fewer symbolic experiences. This does not indicate stagnation. It indicates integration. The system has moved from expansion to refinement. Power becomes subtle. Influence becomes indirect but pervasive. Beings at this level influence timelines not through action, but through presence. Their coherence subtly reorganizes the probability fields around them. Others feel calmer, clearer, or unsettled without knowing why. Opportunities cluster. Conflicts dissolve or bypass. This is not charisma. It is structural resonance. This is also where responsibility deepens. When your tone carries weight, distortion has wider impact. Carelessness ripples further. Precision matters. Not perfection, but congruence. Acting against inner clarity creates immediate feedback. The weave responds faster as coherence increases. The ultimate realization is not control, but participation. You are not meant to dominate timelines or bend reality to preference. You are meant to cohere with what you are and allow the weave to express through you. When this happens, life feels guided without being scripted. free without being chaotic, meaningful without being forced. The reason this teaching matters now is because the global weave is unstable. Many collective timelines are competing for dominance without coherence to sustain them. This produces noise, fear, acceleration, and fragmentation. Individuals who stabilize their tone become anchors, whether they intend to or not. Their clarity reduces turbulence in their local fields. This does not require leadership or visibility. Quiet coherence stabilizes more effectively than loud certainty. The weave responds to signal strength, not volume. A single integrated being can influence more than thousands operating from fragmentation. If you feel tired without knowing why, it may be because you are holding coherence in a field that lacks it. This is not a burden to escape. It is a role to understand. Grounding restores balance. Isolation restores clarity. Integration restores energy. Do not rush. Timelines respond best to settled coherence. Speed without alignment creates distortion. Patience without awareness creates stagnation. Balance allows progression. You are not behind. You are not late. You are positioned. The weave does not waste consciousness. Every experience you have integrated contributes to your structural integrity. Every distortion you have released sharpens your signal. When you stop asking how to get somewhere and start embodying what you already know, movement occurs without effort. The corridor opens because it recognizes you. This is how timelines stay in harmony, not through force, not through fate, but through coherence meeting itself in form.